The Will of Peace by James Allen. The two masters, self and truth. Upon the battlefield of the human soul, two masters are ever contending for the crown of supremacy, for the kingship and dominion of the heart. The master of self, called also the prince of this world, and the master of truth, called also the Father God. The master self is that rebellious one whose weapons are passion, pride, avarice, vanity, self-will, implements of darkness. The master truth is that meek and the lowly one whose weapons are gentleness, patience, purity, sacrifice, humility, love, instruments of light. In every soul the battle is waged, and as a soldier can't engage at once in two opposing armies, so every heart is enlisted either in the ranks of self or of truth. There's no half and a half course. There's a self and there's truth. Where self is, truth is not. Where truth is, self is not. Thus spake Buddha, the teacher of truth, and Jesus, the manifest Christ, declared that no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. The internal truth is so simple, so absolutely undeviating and uncompromising, and admits of no complexity, no turning, no qualification. Self is ingenious, crooked, and governed by subtle and sneaky desire. In the midst of endless turnings and qualifications, and the deluded worshippers of self vainly imagine that they can gratify every worldly desire and at the same time possess the truth. But the large truth worships truth with the sacrificed self, and ceaselessly guard themselves against worldliness and the self-seeking. Do you seek to know and to realize truth? Then you must be prepared to sacrifice, to renounce to the uttermost, for truth in all its glory can only be perceived and known when the last vestige of self has disappeared. The eternal Christ declares that he who would be his disciple must deny himself daily. Are you willing to deny yourself, to give up your lusts, your prejudices, your opinions? If so, you may enter the narrow way of truth and find that the peace from which the world is shut out, the absolute denial, the utter extinction of self, is a perfect state of truth, and all religions and philosophies are but so many aids to this supreme attainment. Self is the denial of truth. Truth is the denial of self. As you let the self die, you will be reborn in truth. As you cling to self, truth will be hidden from you. While you cling to self, your path will be beset with difficulties, and repeated pains, sorrows, and disappointments will be your lot. There are no difficulties in truth, and coming to truth, you'll be freed from all sorrow and disappointment. Truth in itself is not hidden and dark. It's always revealed. It is perfectly transparent. But the blind, the wayward self cannot perceive it. The light of day is not hidden except to the blind. The light of truth is not hidden except to those who are blinded by self. Truth is the one reality in the universe, the inward harmony, the perfect justice, the eternal love. Nothing can be added to it, nor taken from it. It does not depend upon any man, but all men depend upon it. You can't perceive the beautiful truth while you are looking out through the eyes of self. If you are vain, you will color everything with your own vanities. If lustful, your heart and mind will be so clouded with the smoke and the flames of passion that everything will appear distorted through them. If proud and opinionative, you will see nothing in the whole universe except the magnitude and importance of your own opinions. There is one quality which preeminently distinguishes the man of truth from the man of self, and that is humility. To be not only free from vanity, stubbornness, and egotism, but regard one's own opinions as of no value. This indeed is the true humility. He who is immersed in self regards his own opinions and truth, and the opinions of other men as error. But that humble truth lover who has learned to distinguish between opinion and truth regards all men with the eye of charity. It does not seek to defend his opinions against theirs, but sacrifices those opinions that he may love the more, that he may manifest the spirit of truth. For truth in its word nature is ineffable, and it can only be believed. He who has most of charity has most of truth. Men engage in heated controversies and foolishly imagine they are defending the truth, when in reality they are merely defending their own petty interest and perishable opinions. The follower of self takes up arms against others. The follower of truth takes up arms against himself. Truth, being unchangeable and eternal, is independent of your opinion and of mine. We may enter into it, or we may stay outside, but both our defense and our attack are superiors and hurled back upon ourselves. Man enslaved by self, passionate, proud, and condemnatory, believes their particular creed or religion to be the truth, and all other religion to be error, and they proselytize with a passionate ardor. There is but one religion, the religion of truth. There is but one error, the error of self. Truth is not a formal belief. It is an unselfish, holy, and aspiring heart, and he who has truth and the peace with all, and cherishes all with the source of love. You may easily know whether you are a child of truth or a worship of self, if you will silently examine your mind, heart, and conduct. Do you harbor thoughts of suspicion, enmity, envy, lust, pride, or do you strenuously fight against it? If the former, you are chained to self, no matter what religion you may profess. If the latter, you are a candidate for truth, even though outwardly you may profess no religion. Are you passionate, self-willed, ever seeking to gain your own ends, self-indulgent, and self-centered? Or are you gentle, mild, unselfish, quit of every form of self-indulgence, and ever ready to give up your own? If the former, self is your master. If the latter, truth, is the object of your affection. Do you strive for riches? Do you fight with passion for your party? Do you lust for power and leadership? Are you given to obstination and self-praise? Or have you given up the love of riches? Have you relinquished all strife? Are you content to take the lowest place and to be passed by unnoticed? And have you ceased to talk about yourself and to regard yourself with a self-complacent pride? If the former, even though you may imagine you worship God, the God of your heart itself. If the latter, even though you may withhold your lips from worship, you are dwelling with the Most High. The signs by which the truth lover is known are unmistakable. Here the holy Krishna declared them in Sir Edwin Arnold's beautiful rendering the Bhagavad Gita: fearlessness, singleness of soul, that will always strive for wisdom, open the hand, ungoverned appetites, and the piety, and love, lonely study, humbleness, uprightness, it to injure not which lies, truthfulness, slowness unto wrath, and the mind that lightly let it go, what others the prize, and equanimity, and the charity which spices no man's faults, and tenderness towards all that suffer, a contented heart, fluttered by no desires, a barren mind, mild, modest, and grave, with a manhood nobly mixed, with the patience, fortitude, and the purity, an unrevengeful spirit never given to read itself too high. Such be the signs, all Indian prince of him whose feet are set under the fair path which leads to heavenly birth. When man lost in the devil's will of error and the self, have forgotten the heavenly birth, the state of holiness of truth, they set up artificial standards by which to judge one another and make acceptance of and adherence to their own particular theology, the test of truth. And so men are divided one against another. There is a ceaseless enmity and strife, and unending sorrow and suffering. Reader, do you seek to realize the birth into truth? There is only one way. Let self die. Oh, those lusts, appetites, desires, opinions, limited conceptions, and prejudices to which you have hitherto so tenaciously clung, let them fall from you. Let them no longer hold you in bondage. The truth will be yours. Cease to look upon your own religion as superior to all others, and strive humbly to learn the supreme lesson of charity. No longer cling to the idea, so productive of strife and the sorrow, that the Savior whom you worship is the only Savior, and that the Savior whom your brother worships with equal sincerity to the other is an impostor, but seek diligently the path of holiness, and that you will realize that every holy man is a savior of mankind. Evidently, James Allen had high regard for other religions, and don't really know that this is only the way to salvation. Now that is unfortunate. So the tranquility of mind without the Holy Spirit is impossible. Without the knowing the reality of the kingdom of God is impossible. But definitely he has some enlightenment from his own meditation and reflection of the of a spiritual maturity, spiritual peace. Anyway, let's go on. The giving up of self is not merely the renunciation of outward things. It consists of renunciation of the inward sin, the inward error, not by giving up when closing, not by relinquishing riches, not by abstaining from certain foods, not by speaking small words, not by merely doing things as the truth found, but by giving up the spirit of vanity, by relinquishing the desire for riches, by abstaining from the lust of self-indulgence, by giving up all hatred, strife, condemnation, and self-seeking, and becoming gentle and pure in heart. By doing these things is the truth found. To do the former and not to do the latter is a Phariseeism and a hypocrisy, whereas the latter includes the former. You may renounce the outward world and isolate yourself in a cave or in the depths of a forest, but you will take all your selfishness with you, and unless you renounce that, great indeed will be your wretchedness and deep your delusion. You may remain just where you are, performing all your duties, yet renounce the world, as the inward enemy. To be in the world, and yet not of the world, is the highest of perfection, the most blessed peace. It is to achieve the greatest victory. The renunciation of self is the will of truth. Therefore, enter the path. There is no grief like hate, no pain like a passion, no deceit like a sense. Enter the path, for far has he gone, whose foot treads down one found offense. Are you succeeding in overcoming self? You will begin to see things in their right relations. He who is swayed by any passion, prejudice, like or dislike, adjusts everything to that particular bias, and sees only his own delusions. He who is absolutely free from all passion, prejudice, performance, and partiality sees himself as he is, sees others as they are, sees all things in the proper proportions and right relations, having nothing to attack, nothing to defend, nothing to conceal, and no interests to guard. He is at peace. He has realized the profound simplicity of truth. For this unbiased, tranquil, blessed state of mind and the heart is a state of truth. He who attends to it dwells with the angels and sees the footstool of the Supreme, knowing the great law, knowing the origin of sorrow, knowing the secret of suffering, knowing the will for emancipation in truth. How can such a one engage in strife or condemnation? For though he knows that the blind, the self-seeking world, surrounded with the clouds of its own illusions and enveloped in the darkness of error and self, cannot perceive the steadfast light of truth. It is utterly incapable of comprehending the profound simplicity of the heart that has died or is dying to self. Yet he also knows that when the suffering ages have piled up mountains of sorrow, the crushed and the burdened soul of the world will fly to its final refuge, and then when the ages are completed, every prodigal will come back to the fold of truth. And so he dwells in good will towards all and regard all with that tender compassion which a father bestowed upon his wayward children. Man cannot understand truth because he clings to self, because he believes in and loves self, because he believes self to be the only reality, whereas it is a one delusion. When you cease to believe in and love self, you will desert it and will fly to truth and will find the internal reality. When men are intoxicated with the wines of luxury and pleasure and vanity, the thirst of life grows and deepens within them, and they delude themselves with dreams of fleshly immortality. But when they come to reap the harvest of their own sowing and pain, the sorrow supreme, and then crushed and humiliated, relinquish self, and all the intoxications of self, they come with the aching hearts to the one immortality, the immortality that destroys all delusions, the spiritual immortality in truth. Man passes from evil to good, from self to truth, through the dark gate of sorrow, For sorrow and the self are inseparable. Only the peace and the bliss of truth is all sorrow vanquished. If you suffer disappointment because your cherished plan has been thwarted, or because someone has not come up to your anticipations, it is because you are clinging to self. If you suffer remorse for your conduct, it is because you have given way to self. If you are overwhelmed with chagrin and regret because of the attitude of someone else towards you, it is because you have been cherishing self. If you are wounded on account of what has been done to you or said of you, it is because you are walking in the painful of self. All suffering is of a self. All suffering ends in truth. When you have entered into and realized truth, you will no longer suffer disappointment, remorse, and regret, and the sorrow will flee from you. Self is the only prison that it can ever bind the soul. Truth is the only angel that it can bid the gates unroll. And when he comes to call thee, arise to follow fast. His way may lie through darkness, but it leads to light and the last. The woe of the world is of its own making. Sorrow purifies and deepens the soul, and the extremity of sorrow is a prelude to truth. Have you suffered much? Have you sorrowed deeply? Have you seriously pondered the problem of life? If so, you prepared to wage war against the self and to become a disciple of truth. The intellectual who does not see the necessity for giving up self frame endless theories about the universe and call them truth. But thou pursue that direct line of conduct which is the practice of righteousness, and thou will realize the truth which has no place in theory and which never changes. Cultivate your heart, water it continually with unselfish love and deep-felt pity, and strive to shut out from it all thoughts or feelings which are not in accordance with love. Return good for evil, love for hatred, gentleness for ill treatment, and remain silent when attacked. So shall you transmute all your selfish desire into the pure gold of love, and the self will disappear in truth. So will you walk blamelessly among men, yoked with the easy yoke of lowliness and clothed with the divine garment of humility. Oh, come, weary brother, thou struggling and striving, and thou in the heart of the Master of Truth. Across self-drear desert, why wilt thou be driving, a search for the quickening water of truth? When here by the path of thy searching, the sinning flow life, gladsome stream, lie love's oasis green. Come, turn thou and rest, know the end and beginning. The sought and the searcher, the seer and the seen, thy master sits not in unapproached mountains, nor dwells in the mirage which floats on the air, nor shalt thou discover his magical fountains in past willful sand that encircle despair. In selfhood's dark desert seas wearily seeking the arduous tracks of the fate of the king of thine king, if thou willest hear the sweet sound of his speaking, be deaf to all voices that emptily saying, flee vanishing places, renounce all thou hadst, leave all that is unloveliest and the naked, the bare, thyself the shrine of innermost caste, the highest, the holiest, the changeless is there. Within, in the heart of the silence, he dwelleth. Leave the soul sin, leave thine wandering soul. Come back in his joy, whilst he whispering telleth Thine soul will its seek and wander no more. Then cease, weary brother, thy struggling and striving, find peace in the heart of the Master of truth. Across self-dark desert cease weary striving. Come, drink, and the beautiful waters of truth.